You may not know this, but Cadillac has one of the most robust lineups of all-electric crossovers in the entire industry. And now they've added one more. What's up, folks? I'm Dave Underkoffler, editor-in-chief of Autolist.com, a sister company to CarGurus. This is the Vistiq, Cadillac's latest addition to an already impressive EV lineup. This three-row crossover slots below the Escalade IQ in terms of size, but above Cadillac's Lyriq and Optiq. It packs up to 300 miles of range, up to 615 horsepower, and tons of luxury and tech on the inside. So how does all that stack up against rivals like the Lucid Gravity, Rivian R1S, and Cadillac's own Escalade gas version? Let's go spend some time with it and find out. But before we do, be sure to like and subscribe to this page so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. Okay, let's start by taking a look at the exterior, but before we do, a quick word on trims. The base model is either the Sport or the Luxury trims. Those start at about $77,000 or $78,000. Then we've got the Premium Luxury, which is what we're testing today. That's about $92,000. And finally, at the top of the heap is the Platinum version for about $97,000. And a reminder, none of those prices include Destination, which is another $1,400. All right, now let's take a look at the design. It's very much a Cadillac. All Cadillac SUVs these days are very bold, and this definitely lives up to that hype. You've got a lot of lighting elements going on in this grille. This Cadillac badge actually lights up. You also have illuminated functions in this grille. It's pretty cool at night. You've got the headlights running down here, daytime running lights on the side, and then blinkers up top. And then you've got some chrome running across the front. Really looks good. I like it's futuristic without being too gaudy or too weird. And then underneath the hood, because it's an EV, people always ask, is there a frunk? There is not. We'll show you that in just a minute. Turning to the side, you can see the dimensions of the Vistiq. For comparison, the wheelbase on this is about the same as the gas-powered Escalade, but it's about a foot shorter than the Escalade IQ. In terms of overall length, though, this is about 7 inches shorter than the gas-powered Escalade, while also being narrower and a little bit lower. In terms of design elements, it's actually pretty handsome on the side here. Standard will be 21-inch alloy wheels. We've got 23-inch wheels that are optional. You've got these door handles which sort of pop out. They take a little getting used to, but once you do, they are pretty functional. And then down here, this is probably my least favorite element of the entire styling on this Vistiq. It's this graphic pattern. This is actually a window for the third row of seats. I don't know why Cadillac added that. This is a very handsome vehicle overall. This just seems a little too gaudy. Finally, at the back, you can see Cadillac has the same split lighting design as they have on some of their other electric crossovers. So you've got a light element running down here and then over to the side, and then a second one down below. You also have a rear windshield wiper tucked underneath this spoiler, and the Cadillac emblem actually is how you open the rear door. All right, now to powertrain. And as we mentioned earlier, this has 615 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque. It'll do 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds, according to Car and Driver. That's thanks to a dual-motor, all-wheel drive setup that is standard on all trims. This Vistiq has an EPA-rated range of about 300 miles, which is good until you compare it to some of its rivals, like the Lucid Gravity or Rivian R1S, which definitely have more. Finally, as we mentioned, there is no frunk, but if you look under the hood, there really could be. There's plenty of space. I've seen EVs that have storage space under here the size of a loaf of bread, so it's a little disappointing that Cadillac didn't use this space a little bit better. In terms of charging, as you can see here, there is no NACS Tesla-style port. Cadillac does use the CCS, that's the older style, but they do include an adapter. This car runs on 400-volt architecture. It'll charge at speeds up to 190 kilowatts, and that's for a battery that is 102 kilowatt hours in size. All right, now to the interior of the Vistiq, and I gotta say, this is one of the highlights of this vehicle. There's a lot to like. Probably the first thing you notice is the materials that Cadillac uses. You've got fabric here on the sides of the console, you've got wood running along the side down below, and then on the doors. Then you have leather everywhere across the dashboard on these seats. The seats themselves are very comfortable, really nice bolstering. And on our Premium Luxury, these are heated, cooled, and massaging, so that's pretty cool. And I also love the color. It's this dark blue, goes really well with the lighter wood and then the fabric on the doors. So overall, it adds up to a really luxurious experience that's modern and contemporary without being too weird. I like that. I also like how they've integrated the tech. You have a 33-inch screen running across the dashboard here, so that's for the instrument panel, and then also for the infotainment system. We also have a much smaller display over here that's nicely integrated that has trip functions and the controls for the heads-up display. And then down below here, you have a dedicated screen for the climate control. If you've seen our videos before, you know it drives me nuts when the climate control is integrated into the screen. screen, but it's not always there. You've got to use a lot of menus. That's not the case here. You've always got this screen on. It's pretty straightforward, easy to use, so I like that. Another thing I really like is redundancy. This is a touchscreen to handle the infotainment system, but then you also have a rotary knob down below with more buttons and then a physical volume knob. So this is all a really nice way to integrate modern tech with old school luxury. Cadillac's done it really well here. That said, there are a few miscues on this interior. The biggest one, and this is something Cadillac is doing across its lineup, it drives me nuts. There is no wireless Apple CarPlay, no Android Auto connectivity offered at all. You do have an integrated suite of Google apps, so that's Google Maps, Google Assistant, and Google Play Store. So that's kind of nice, but man, there are so many times I've been driving this vehicle and I just wish I had Apple CarPlay pulled up. It's really frustrating, a big demerit against this car. Another thing is the ergonomics. You do have two cup holders here and a nice storage compartment right here, but there's no convenient place to put your phone. You've got wireless smartphone charging down here, but it's out of the way. You really can't get to it all that easily. That's a little bit of a frustration. There's also a small storage compartment down here, but again, not super functional. One other nitpick about this screen setup is that this display is actually pretty small when you go to use the 360 camera or the reverse camera. So that's a little frustrating considering so many cars these days have huge screens right in the center console. And then as you might expect on a high-end luxury 3-row crossover, there are a lot of goodies. Cadillac's hands-free driving system, which they call Super Cruise, is standard on all trims. And for my money, it's still the best system on the market. Yes, I'm looking at you, Tesla, so that's pretty cool that that is standard. We also have goodies like the heads-up display I mentioned earlier. We've got a digital rear-view camera, a panoramic moonroof with then another moonroof way in the back for the third-row passengers, and a heated steering wheel. All right, let's talk second and third row space, but before we do, I want to show you a feature I love. I don't see it enough on 3-row crossovers, whether they're electric or not. It is that you can fold this seat out of the way and get access to the third row without actually collapsing this seat. So as a parent, what that means is I can have a car seat here and still get access to the third row without moving this out of the way. I think that's a great feature. You don't see it often enough. All right, now I'm actually in the second row of seats and there's a lot of space and a lot of comfort. I think that's pretty cool. I will say this row of seats slides back and forth, so I've got it all the way back. If you do need more room for the people in the third row, it does get a little tight in this second row. I'm 6'1". I've got the front seat to where I would have it if I were sitting up there. These seats are pretty thick, so they eat up a lot of space that eats into my legroom here. So that's a little bit of a drawback, but once you slide it back, it is plenty comfortable. I also like that there's a perfectly flat floor in the middle, and then you have a lot of amenities back here. Not only do you have the panoramic moonroof above you, but you've got your entire climate control system here for the second and third row on this touchscreen. You also have 3-way heated seats. You've got a pair of USB-C charge ports down below, a household outlet, and then actually some hidden cup holders and storage space. All right, now I'm in the third row and we're gonna check out space back here. I've got the middle seat in kind of the middle position and I was just sitting in that seat. It's not all the way back, it's not all the way forward. I had enough room in that second row. So now I'm back here and it's a little tight, even in this middle position. My knees and legs are definitely up against this seat back. So I would treat these seats back here as short rides for adults, maybe just keep the kids back here. But it is pretty functional. The floor is a little higher back here than it is in the second row, so my knees are a little higher, but I've got tons of headroom, so that's kind of nice. Again, here you can see the window graphics. Those are the ones I was pointing out earlier. I don't love those, but overall, useful, but not great in the third row. All right, now let's take a look at cargo space. With the third row of seats folded up, you've got about 15 cubic feet of space back here behind them. You also have some bonus space built into the floor. That's actually really handy, keeps things out of the way. If you fold these seats flat, you get 43 cubic feet of space behind the second row, and you can fold these seats flat with a touch of a button. All right, next up, driving impressions, and I really don't have a bad thing to say about how this Vistiq drives. As we mentioned earlier, 615 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque. That is immense. It'll do 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. That is pretty crazy when you consider how big and heavy this all-electric crossover is. To get that full acceleration, you do have to hit the VMAX button on the steering wheel, but then when you floor it, wow, it is really impressive. Another thing that's really impressive is the suspension. It's very comfortable without being too soft or too wallowy, but it also manages the weight of this crossover really well. I'm not going to say it feels light on its feet, but it is fairly nimble for this size, and I love that it has good communication from what the road is doing without being too stiff. And then as a bonus, there are different drive modes. There's Touring, which is sort of the default mode, which is what I've had it in most of the time we've been testing. There is a Sport mode, there's a Snow and Ice mode, and then a customizable mode, and that'll allow you to dial up the suspension. Maybe you want a little more feedback that way. but then maybe a little softer on the steering feel. I also really love the regenerative braking setup on this Vistiq. There are 3 different settings you can have it in. There's off, then there's normal, which is actually really strong. Usually I have whatever EV I'm driving, I have it in the strongest setting, but normal has been plenty for me while we've been testing this. And then there's high. To me, high is overkill. So I've had it in normal mode. It's really great. It does bring the vehicle to a complete stop when you're in daily driving or around traffic. But then on the open road like this, you can pull your foot off the accelerator a little bit, get some of that regenerative braking. It's very nicely tuned. It shows that Cadillac and GM have a lot of experience these days in tuning a good EV. One other great feature is the noise, or actually lack thereof, in this Vistiq. It is silent inside the cabin. And yes, most electric vehicles are pretty quiet, but this one goes above and beyond. You can't tell right now, but it is actually really windy where we are driving, and none of that noise is coming into the cabin, none of the road noise either. This is a very serene experience to drive it, get it on the freeway at high speeds, and it definitely lives up to the luxury experience that you expect out of a crossover that's what, $95,000, $96,000? Cadillac nailed it. And then finally, there's the visibility. It's pretty good for an all-electric crossover. Cars these days are getting so squished down to be aerodynamic that this one actually, compared to some of the other models on the market, is pretty good. You've got good visibility out the front. The B-pillar over my shoulder is a little thick, so that does get in the way sometimes when you're changing lanes on the freeway. But looking back, it's actually pretty good. The rear headrests on that third row do fold flat, or you get the third row out of the way entirely, and you're good to go. All right, folks, there you have it, our review of the 2026 Cadillac Vistiq all-electric crossover. Pros, well, we love the interior of this car. It's got great materials, amenities, and comfort. We also love the road manners. This is a powerful, smooth, refined driving vehicle. And finally, overall, it's just a great package. It does nearly everything really well and will suit a lot of users in a lot of instances. Cons, well, the big one is the tech. It doesn't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto connectivity. It also gets a little expensive for what it is relative to some of its rivals. And the range, while good on paper, also trails those rivals. But overall, we are big fans of this Vistiq. We think it will suit the needs of a lot of buyers out there. And it does a great job slotting into Cadillac's already impressive lineup of fully electric crossovers. So for reviews or listings of this Vistiq or anything else you're shopping for, new or used, be sure to check out CarGurus.com. And CarGurus now has a podcast. It's called The Driveway. Features yours truly and the rest of our great content team. Be sure to check it out wherever you get your other favorite podcasts. And before you go, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. We'll see you out there.